Okay, so what we're talking about here is finding the equation of a line. And if you remember, the equation of a line is y equals mx plus b. Yeah, that's the form that it takes, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. So some of the stuff, it just depends on what information you're starting with. So for example, 1, I have a graph. If I want to know what the y-intercept is and what the slope is, I'm going to be using the graph to get that information. So here I know the y-intercept because that's where it touches the y-axis. So b has to be 3 because that's where it touches the y-axis. Then to find your slope, you take another point, and it doesn't matter what point it is, any other point that's on the line. You find your rise and run by looking at the points here. So that's my rise, and that's the run. So we have a slope of 2 over 10, because the rise is 2, and the run is 10. But it's going down, right? This line is going down. So we say that that's a negative slope. And then, just to reduce it, we get negative 1 over 5. So now if I take that, and I put it into y equals mx plus b, it's a slope, y-intercept form of a line. I know the slope. That's m. And I know the y-intercept. So I can just replace that now in the equation, and I have my answer. And it's positive 3, so I write plus 3. Okay. Remember the slope came from here, right? I went down 2 and right 10. So if we do the same thing over here, my slope is negative 4, and then I'd pick any other point I want as long as I know what the coordinates are. So this point works. It's the, the x-intercept. So the rise is 4. The run is 5, right? It goes up 4, to the right 5. So that makes the slope 4 over 5, and it's going up. So that means it's positive. And then look at the line. Where is the line crossing the y-axis? Well, it's crossing at negative 4. So if I put all that together into y equals mx plus b, slope is 4 over 5. Y-intercept is negative 4. So that's my equation. But now what happens if we don't have a graph? We have a description. So I have a line that we start the equation, 4x plus b, and it passes through the point 2, negative 3. So whatever this line looks like, I know it passes through point 2, negative 3. So since it passes through that point, and this is an x value, and that's a y value, that's on this line, y equals mx plus b, y equals 4x plus b, I can then take that y, substitute it there, and take the 2 and substitute it there, and then we can solve for b, because then we'll only have one thing that we don't know. So then in this equation, we're saying that y is negative 3, x is 2 because it passes through that point. That point is on the line. So I'm going to change x and y to that. So we're using the point and the slope that we already have to figure out what b is. What's the y-intercept? I could graph it and try to go backwards and figure it out, but this is a lot easier. So 4 times 2 is 8. And then we solve for b. So I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides. I get negative 11 is equal to b. So we're done. We've solved what the y-intercept is. I know what the equation is. For x minus 11. So this is the only line that has a slope of 4 and passes through 2, negative 3. Okay. So basically what happened was they gave me the slope at the beginning. I knew what the slope was. I knew that it passed through a point. So if I look at this equation, y equals mx plus b, here I knew m, I knew x, and I knew y. And we just had to figure out what b was. So this is pretty much what's going to happen all the time. I need to figure out y equals mx plus b. I need to be able to plug it in and solve for one of these things. So I know the slope because they tell me the equation or in the question. So that's m. I know x. And I know y. So in the equation, the only thing I don't know is b. So they told me that the slope is negative 2 over 3, which means I can change m to negative 2 over 3. They tell me that it passes through the point negative 3, 1. So that means that x and that y are on the line. So I would replace x and y with that point x, negative 3, 1. Okay, so now we're going to solve for b. So I'm going to simplify this. I have negative 2 times negative 3. So negative 2 times negative 3 is positive 6. Then divide by 3 is positive 2. I want b by itself, so I'm going to subtract 2. So b is equal to negative 1. So in y equals mx plus b, I already knew m. We just figured out b. So now I can write the equation, negative 2 over 3x minus 1, right? Because they gave me the slope. Okay, so the last question, we don't have the slope and we don't have the y-intercept. So I don't know what y is, or sorry, what m is. And I don't know what b is. So let's look at y equals m x plus b. That's the equation, right? Y equals mx plus b. I don't know y, I don't know m, I don't know x, I don't know b. I kind of know y. I can pick one of these things. There's an x and a y here. That's x and y. That's also x and y. But I don't know m and I don't know b. So I got to do something to figure that out. If I have 2 points, I can use the formula the difference in the y's over the difference in the x's to figure out the slope. So if I find the slope here, 4 minus negative 2, right, subtracting the y's, 1 minus negative 5, subtracting the x's, I get 4 minus negative 2, or 4 plus 2, which is 6. 1 minus negative 5, or 1 plus 5, which is 6. And 6 divided by 6 is 1. So now I know the slope is 1. I still don't know b. But because I have these two coordinates, -5, -2, 1 and 4, I know that both of those points go through the line. Or are on the line, not go through the line, but they're on the line. So if they're both on the line, that means I can use those as my x and y. I just need to pick one of the points. It doesn't matter which one. So I just take the one that looks simpler, like 1, 4 looks pretty simple. So if 1 is x, and y is 4, from here, the only thing I don't know now is b. So I can do the same thing that I did before, substitute those values into y equals mx plus b, and solve. So y is 4, m is 1, x is 1. Let's figure out what b is. So 1 times 1 is 1. Now we're going to solve for b. So I subtract 1 from both sides. b is equal to 3. So now we know that the slope is 1. So I can write 1x here if I want. 1x, but we don't write the 1. We don't have to, so it's just x. And then the y-intercept, or the b, is positive 3, so I write plus 3. Okay, that's